What I try and do when I make work, whether it's the drawings, whether it's the sculptural forms, is I try and create a story. So what I try and do is sort of select elements that will create an emotional response, whether it's a texture in the drawing or whether it's a selection of material in the sculptures, that when people look at it and see it, it's like this moment of, what am I actually looking at? So that's really what I try and do in the work, because I think that that gut response is where the real energy and emotional centre of my work is, and hopefully the connection that I'm trying to get with the viewer as well. I think because I had been grown up in a very small regional town in Mildura, there are a lot of Italians, and I was brought up as an Italian. When I went to Italy, I think that's when my first kind of connection with landscape. I remember being picked up from the airport and going to my mother's hometown and just crying when I saw the landscape, because some part of me understood it in a way that I didn't understand the Australian landscape. That experience made me come back and start looking a bit more closely at Australia. And so after a period of time, I actually moved back to Mildura. It allowed me to actually really see that area as well, without that thing of growing up going, I just want to get out of here, and see the complexities of it, the colours, the landscape, everything that makes it what it is, which was really beautiful. I think it was the first time in about the early 2000s where they went actually into serious drought restriction measures. And so there was this real kind of stress about the river, and that they couldn't draw enough water from it for their crops. In a way, it's kind of a really detached way of looking at the river and at nature. So when I went back, I started to look at it as what happens with it, and what happens to it when it's in drought, how different it looks, how things change. So that sort of connection to it really shifted as well. I decided to make a piece that really referenced the river and looked at the different layers of history that have affected the river, like the kind of really quiet way that Indigenous cultures have, I think they've really quietly stepped across this earth. They've really understood it to actually keep it almost as pure as it was. And then you get the next wave of migrants that come in that really are trying to transform it. So I kind of see that river in the, like, it's like the sediment. There's just layers of different ways that people have connected with it and walked across it, I think. In all the work, whether it's sculptural or whether it's the drawings, it's about how one thing meets another, how one surface intersects another, how one surface sits on top of the other, how, you know, the gouache from the fish hits the petrified red gum, how that red gum that's, you know, between 5,000 and 9,000 years old sits on top of a piece that's probably was just milled last year. And so it's all about creating that. And with the drawings, it's how, you know, the fur texture will just blend into something that feels like it's so smooth and skin-like. It's about creating sensation, because I think we spend a lot of time just sort of going through life trying to just get through, that we don't let those tingly bits happen. We don't let that kind of seep into our surface, because we don't always have time, or we don't actually know how to respond. And I always think that for me, my work isn't completed until it's viewed by someone else, because that's the whole process. Is I make it, I have a story, I give you parts of that story, but you will always bring to it your experience. To connect through another waterway and to find a way of bringing my work and my way of seeing into this landscape as well. I'm not of this place, and I say that in a big way. I'm not of this place in Australia as well. Like, I just try and find my way through it and try and see it. Actually just see it. I think that's what we forget to do. I think I'm just trying to see it.